Russia's war in Ukraine has reaffirmed NATO's importance and injected a fresh sense of purpose into the 74-year-old alliance. But member countries remain divided on just what practical and political support should be directed Ukraine's way. For that reason and many more, this NATO summit here in the Lithuanian capital Vilnius is one of the most important in the alliance's recent history. I'm Melinda Nusofora, and I sat down with NATO member Bulgaria's Prime Minister, Nikolai Denkov, one-on-one. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you so much for making time to speak to us on TRT World.
My pleasure.
NATO expansion clearly is high on the agenda at this NATO summit. What is Bulgaria's position on how Ukraine should join? I think the matter of if has come and gone, but how should it become a member?
You're right. I think Ukraine has a full support to become a member when it is possible. And as you probably know, we have already signed a declaration that we support the full membership of Ukraine in NATO whenever this is possible. So the discussion is exactly what are the conditions that should be met and then when this will be possible.
Do you think that the typical membership action plan should be foregone for Ukraine? Does it have the military caliber, the level of defence to support all the NATO allies sufficiently if it doesn't go through the membership action plan?
I think everybody knows now that Ukraine has a quite strong defense, so they can fight very successfully against a so powerful enemy, if you like, in this case. On the other hand, the question is whether Ukraine could be fully integrated in the NATO security system. So I think the discussion will be how Ukraine will be integrated in the chain of command, in the other facilities, the ammunition caliber, and so on and so forth. So these are more like building up or integrating the capacity into the NATO forces rather than showing that they have the capacity to fight. They have proven this.
There appears to be somewhat of a rift between your government and Bulgaria's president with regards to the support of Ukraine. The president has said the course of the new government is pushing Bulgaria even closer to war. What do you say to that?
I say that first, Bulgaria is close to the war. So the big debate is what is the best interest of Bulgaria, how to act with respect to the possible risks that could appear in the future. So we know the risk coming from the east on one side, but also we have a risk coming from the Western Balkans on the other side. So my opinion as a person, but also as a political leader in this case in Bulgaria, is that we should prevent Russia from any activity that could threaten our regions. From this viewpoint, supporting Ukraine is helping us to keep these risks far away from our borders and keeping Russia busy with other tasks, so they have not much time to think what they can do on the Balkan region and also keeping them far away from our borders.
Do you feel confident that you can unite your government around that one stance?
The government is united. There is no doubt about that. We have the strong support by the parliament. So politically, this is the position of Bulgaria. What happened in the last couple of years is that the president, due to some political crisis, had a long period of being alone in this leadership position. But Bulgaria is a parliamentary republic. It's not a presidential republic. So from this viewpoint, these are the decisions of the parliament and the council of ministers that are leading the political position of Bulgaria. So these are the positions of Bulgaria.
The defense minister has recently acknowledged that Bulgaria is exporting weapons to Ukraine. There have been, though, numerous explosions at ammunition depots in Bulgaria, and the economy minister has suggested that Russia is involved in those. Is there any further evidence or investigation going on to link Russia to those explosions?
So currently an investigation is ongoing, so we cannot comment on this investigation. If there are results, they will be publicly announced. Concerning the previous explosions, which happened in, for example, in 2014-15, there was some link with the Russian Secret Service and also with explosions in Czechia at that time. So it seems that there is a possible link, but without having the results of the investigation, I cannot comment on this.
What about if Bulgaria is going to expand its weapons support to Ukraine? Is there any process ongoing at the moment to ensure that there is no risk to the people of Bulgaria to improve security around these types of facilities?
Actually, we improved the security after the previous explosions. So now I had a check with my Minister of Internal Affairs, Ministry of Economy, because these factories are under the Ministry of Economy. So now all the forces are deployed, including the gendarmerie and the other type of special forces, to be sure that the area is well secured. So I feel a bit more confident, but you never know. These are risky areas, so we'll be vigilant in this and try to be as prepared as possible.
We look forward to the outcome of those investigations. I'm sure there'll be more to discuss. Do you have a time frame for the investigations?
Difficult to say. As you know, these investigations are long, typically. I don't want to comment on this, but what is really important is to secure the factories, because this is the most important today.
Mm-hmm. NATO expansion is one issue. Another is NATO enhancing its forward positions along its eastern flank. There are some military analysts who have criticised this move as being provocative. Is it provocative?
I really don't agree with this assessment. Actually, the eastern flank was, I could say, relatively weak for a long time because we didn't feel this as a threat. But after the invasion in Ukraine, first in 2014, then the last year, it became clear that it's a real risk. And still, everything that is built up there as NATO forces in Romania, Bulgaria, and Turkey, all of this is in the defense mode. So we don't prepare to attack anyone. We just prepare to defend our countries, and this is our duty.
Another issue on the agenda is defence spending. Increased forward positions don't necessarily come cheap. At this point, far fewer than half of NATO's members currently meet that 2% of GDP target. The NATO boss is pushing for that to be the floor, not the ceiling of financial commitments. Do you think that it's at all likely that an agreement can be reached on that? And if it is reached, that members are going to meet it?
Yeah, I expect that there will be a decision of this type. What I can say about Bulgaria is that we had our political discussion internally. I have also the assurance of the finance minister that starting from the next year, this will be really the floor of our spending. So we are actually modernizing our army quite actively. We have signed contracts with the United States for fighters F-16 Block 70, and we expect the first 8 of them to come in 2025. Also, we are building 2 multifunctional ships now. We are working on a contract with the armored vehicles for the land forces. So everything is going on. So we'll need this funding. It's not something that we'll see how to use this, how to spend this money. Actually, we need them in the next couple of years. So we have all the agreement, the political agreement that this will happen.
And are you getting the sense from your NATO colleagues that other countries agree with that position?
This is what I think will happen. I would expect to have an anonymous agreement about that.
Good news before the summit even begins, with Turkey finally reaching that agreement after more than a year of negotiations with Sweden. How do you think Sweden's accession, when it eventually does happen, will make the alliance stronger?
Yes, Sweden is a very important country in two aspects, I think. One of them is that on the northern flank, they have a special position there. They can work together with Finland and with the other countries. And you know the Northern Ocean, so this is an important part of activity in the last years. And the second reason is that Sweden is a high-tech country, so they have a lot of technology. So I think these technologies will be useful in the next years.
Sweden will become the 32nd NATO member. Do you see expansion, if we don't include Ukraine, going beyond 33 members once Ukraine, if and when it does join the alliance?
I think these are the countries that are now active in asking for their participation. Fortunately, Sweden will join, I hope, very soon. So for the other countries, let us see how the activity will develop in the next months and years. I really hope the war will end soon, but you never know.
And just finally, the agreement between Turkey and Sweden has given more of a sense of a united front going into the summit. There was a semblance of disunity amongst the alliance on different topics, be it Ukraine's membership, obviously Turkey and Hungary with regards to Sweden. Do you think that now that we've reached an agreement before the summit even begins, this is a sign to perhaps Russia, to perhaps Vladimir Putin, that NATO is united, or do divisions still remain?
I think there is quite a lot of unity, both in the European Union. I attended the European Council last week, and inside NATO, that we should stand together. I see some differences, but part of them, let's say Hungary, I could say even Turkey in some way, they have also other issues, and in some way they link them to the discussions that we have in NATO. But in general, I think the NATO countries understand that they should stand together because it's the only way to be strong.
Is it acknowledged amongst your colleagues that this is such a historic summit? It's unlike any others in recent history.
Yeah, I think there are significant changes in the environment, and that's why the summit had to respond to them. For example, these regional plans that have been developed and will be discussed this time. The news about them appeared in already. This is for first time after the Cold War. This reflects what are the changes in the world. From this viewpoint, this will be a historical summit beside the discussion about Ukraine.
We really appreciate your time here on TRT World and your insight. It's going to be a very interesting 2 days to come. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.